right, welcome to the show. We have on today the co-founder and CEO of Embark Self-Driving, Alex Rodriguez. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. I think it's interesting backstory we have on one of the reasons that you wanted to come on. So you want to get into that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I think you had a segment a couple of weeks ago. You were talking about the self-driving truck industry, and let's say you were less than complimentary about Embark. So I'm here to set the record straight a little bit and help make sure people are educated about self-driving truck world, and also I think getting to know some of your fan base is always I like to not just spend all my time talking to the Wall Street folks, get to talk to a little bit of everybody.
Yeah. Very, very admirable of you to come on and number one to watch the content. You and your PR folks to watch that, and then they want to come on and because me and you talked a little offline here, and for me it was a quick overview of the space. I actually have done a little bit more research on Embark now, and I think it's pretty interesting. So I was more or less just looking at valuations in that particular video, but I do really want to hear from you from the source, from the co-founder and creator of the company. That's always the place where you can typically get into the weeds. If you can get into the weeds anywhere, it will be with you, right?
For sure. That's right.
So how about just give us some backdrop on yourself and then your company, Embark.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe I'll start with my story. So I grew up in Canada. I spent the last coming up on 15 years building robots, and including building the first self-driving vehicle on public roads in Canada, and then building one of the early self-driving campus shuttle vehicles with my co-founder Brandon Milk. And then for the last 5 years, maybe a little bit more now, Brandon and I have been working on building self-driving specifically for the trucking industry as part of Embark. And Embark is the longest running self-driving truck program in the United States. So it's something that we're super passionate about, been working on for a really long time. I think what really stood out to me and to when we were first getting into Embark 5 years ago, and I think you mentioned this a little bit, is just how exciting of an opportunity trucking is in particular. So self-driving is obviously something a lot of people have heard about, but Embark really kicked things off and has been clearing the way as far as a specific trucking solution. And I think it's just this incredibly compelling opportunity, because what you're able to do is instead of trying to solve everything, we build a system that drives primarily on the highway and then a little bit on rural streets to design for trucks, but doesn't go into downtown. And so where all the hardest problems are double parked cars, people are driving weird, and we're able to get around that completely. And basically our driverless trucks drop the trailer off at the edge of the city at what we call a transfer point. And then a local driver will come pick up the trailer, drop and hook, take it to its final destination. And that lets us focus on building technology that's a lot more near term, that's easily built. And so we've been focusing on that. When we started, everybody laughed a little bit, said that this didn't make sense. But here we are now. It's pretty clear that self-driving trucks are the right way to be doing this. And Embark's been doing it longer than anybody. And so, 5 years in, and then we just announced about a month ago, I guess, a SPAC merger with Northern Genesis Acquisition Corp. 2, NGAB, on the New York Stock Exchange. And these guys are super high quality folks. I think you met the Lion Electric team as well, who were the previous SPAC that the Northern Genesis team did in Northern Genesis 1. And Lion Electric has been doing super well. And I actually met the team as part of the diligence, and they had really complimentary things to say. So we're really excited to partner with the Northern Genesis folks and bring NGAB and then ultimately Embark to the public market.
For sure. Very, very, like you said, a very, very intriguing space. And, even that initial video I did, I got some comments in the comment section. People are like, self-driving so far away, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, this is happening like now. This is underway and is going to especially in this space, in the trucking industry. The move is happening, as you alluded to, and sounds like you guys had a little bit of a early mover advantage here in some of the tech that you built. Now, you probably get this a lot, but how have you done all that? You got to be, 21? You probably
I
get
look,
that. You get that all the
I
time.
look younger than I am, but I'm pretty young. I'll give you that. I'm 25.
Well, it's good
But
to be. It's good to be ambitious and already have that under your belt. You know what I'm saying?
well, I've been doing robots since I was 11, so it all works itself out in the end. 15 years of experience doesn't sound so. Sounds pretty normal when you look at it that way.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm just messing around, but I love innovation in young minds like yourself that many times are kind of pivotal in kicking that off. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to get into the business model with you and help me understand it and help the audience understand it. Essentially, Embark is a AV SaaS company focused on the trucking industry. So explain the business model of how it works because it's sold as software as a service, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So I'll definitely jump into that. If you'll indulge me, you give me 2 minutes. I'd love to respond just to the initial. For those of you who haven't seen it, the initial critique Jason had was, where's Embark's revenue in 21 and 22? Like, where's our near-term revenue? And our revenue ramp starts in 24 and 25. Really scales up to be very significant compared to some of our competitors. And I think what's important, the important nuance that I wanted to point at a little bit is where the revenue is coming from, what product line. And so when we talk about deploying full self-driving trucks commercially moving freight, Embark has the most ambitious rollout plan for delivering that. And part of that's because we've been working on this longer than anybody else. And we have competitors who are doing multiple things, who have multiple other business lines that are less transformative, less ambitious. And sometimes they have revenue from the other business line. But when you look at the actual product that is full self-driving, level 4 driverless trucks moving freight for people, Embark is leading the pack in our plan to actually do that. And I actually think that's a key aspect of what makes us a good company. We're not trying to do everything. We're not trying to do a bunch of different products at the same time. We're very, very focused, and we've been that way for 5 years. And that's part of how we are able to do things as quickly. So that's my 2 minutes. Jumping back to your question, kind of what is the business model? The way that we make money is basically we work with some of the biggest fleets in the country. They own and operate the trucks. We partner with them and license software to them on a per mile basis. So they drive these trucks autonomously between transfer points. And every mile that it drives autonomously, Embark makes a sort of fixed 30 to 40 cents per mile on that run.
Okay, so it's a per mile, not a per month or per annual fee, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's based on the way that a lot of our business model actually is based on the way that the trucking industry is structured today. And so if you look at the way that fleets think about cost, it's pretty much based around per mile. And so when we create value per mile, we figure it makes sense for us to charge our pricing per mile.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I was looking over your slide deck, and I see some partnerships with some big players: Anheuser-Busch, InBev, HP, Werner, which I do see also. Too Simple is partnering with Werner as well. But so, like, I mean, I don't know where you are. As far as I know, you come in public, and there's some things you can't talk about, and some things that you can't, etc. But within the framework of what you can speak on with these partnerships, what do they look like? I mean, is this like there's an order for 100 plus, or or is this just a few to start off with, just to as beta type of deals? So, and I know they could be all sort of in different stages. So just talk about a little bit about the current partnerships that you have and what they look like.
Yeah, that's a great segue. I think when we think about the real concrete near-term sort of proof points around commercialization, we really do focus on those partnerships. And so the fact that we have some of the biggest players putting real time, real money behind Embark, just to give you a few numbers, Embark's partners today run over 30,000 trucks. They, in aggregate, represent over $20 billion of freight spend. And that includes the names that you mentioned, as well as some of the ones that are yet to be announced. And so when we look at those numbers, that gives us a lot of confidence for the ability to scale the business model in 2024 and 25 the way that we expect. And we expect to continue growing that group. And if we look at some of the top line names there, right, these are folks like AB InBev, folks like Werner Enterprises, folks like, I think very notably, Knight Swift, who's both the number one truckload carrier in the United States. They do more truckload operations than anybody. And they're not just somebody we work with commercially, but they're also somebody that after spending time with us and getting to know the team and the tech, believes this is important enough that they're also an anchor investor in our SPAC. And so I think you look at that level of conviction from these guys, it speaks volumes. And so I think when we look at the partners we have, our focus has always been on quality. And so we have really deep relationships with these guys, ultimately focused around understanding their very large networks, the 30,000 trucks these guys run, and how those can best be served by driverless tech in the near future.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's great. Yeah, I did see Knight as well. That's pretty cool. So help me understand. So you said you had around 30,000 trucks that are in operation, and then, but well, why is there no realized revenue until 2024 if they're already functioning on the road with that? How does that work? Is that part of the contracted deal, or just enlighten me?
Yeah. Let me make sure that's clear. It's very important to be clear these days. We've got the folks that Embark works with. Their fleets represent 30,000 trucks. Now, those are not driverless trucks today. Okay. But the reason that we think that's an important number is because it gives a sense of the scale. These are folks we estimate purchase about 8,000 trucks a year. And so when you think about how quickly do we have the ability to scale up, that's where we sort of get that concrete conviction that there's demand for this product.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. I also wanted to understand because, and this is my naivety coming through here, right? So you're the professional, and I'm someone trying to learn. So okay. So you have your software as a service. So how do you go about integrating it to many different types of hardware platforms, or do you say, do you go to HP or Knight and say, this is what we recommend, a recommended setup that will work well with ours? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so we have a standard sensor module and compute module, and those are components that are designed to be compatible across the major OEM platforms. And so one of the things that we work with for our fleet partners is to make sure that there's a set of components and it's modularized so that it can be integrated on the platform that they want to work on top of. And that's something I think actually sort of differentiates Embark, where we're not building trucks entirely. Rather, we're a software provider, and then we provide these modules to make that happen from a hardware perspective.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm assuming you do have a team that will initially work with these players to do the integration, though, right?
The modules are designed to be a factory option. And so there's a lot of work that's done on the Embark side by our hardware and electrical engineers to make sure that compatibility exists. And so I think the big difference is that when we're coming to get that integration, it's designed in a modular way, and it's easy to integrate as a factory option, but ultimately it is designed to come from the factory. So we're working with our fleet partners so that they're able to tick a box from their preferred manufacturer and ultimately have that set of components arrive at their doorstep, already integrated to the truck.
Okay, so these are new. You're saying that this is new builds?
Correct, new trucks. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. So
you actually can't really put self-driving on older trucks because they're missing some of the like redundant steering and braking actuators that are required for this system.
It would take too much to rip out the guts and redo, right?
Right.
Gotcha. When you are looking out over I guess there was also recently another company that's SPACing as well. So when you look out over the industry, like, what sets you apart from the competition? This is what everyone is going to want to know when they are researching this industry. So I think you've touched on a few different points, but just what else do you think is going to set Embark apart from the competition?
Yeah, I'd probably think about it as 4 really important areas. And these are areas that we've iterated on and developed over our many years in the space. So first, I would talk about focus. Embark is building a system that's designed to do level 4 self-driving in the United States, just for trucks, just doing the software. And there are a lot of players in the space that really haven't found their niche yet, that are trying to do 2 or 3 things, that are trying to be the fleet or be the OEM or work on cars and trucks at the same time. And Embark is really unique in our ability to just focus in on great software for trucks in the United States. So that's thing one, the focus. And it's a focus that we've had since the very beginning. We haven't been hopping around looking at shiny objects. We've been working hard on this for 5 years. The second thing that differentiates Embark is our asset-light business model. So we talked about this a little bit, right? We're a software company, and we're really scalable because we're working together with people who own 30,000 trucks, and that's really just the beginning, with household names like HP and Knight Swift. And so our scalability is dramatically higher because we're ultimately just selling software, and then we're working with industry leaders who have the asset base and the skill set to roll this out broadly. So that's item two. Item three is Embark's real focus on the technology that we've developed. And I know that there's probably not enough time here to get into all the guts of it, but just to say the team we've assembled is incredible. The vehicle performance is objectively stands above the rest. If you look at sort of the number of miles driven without a DOT reportable incident, Embark's driven far more miles than any other competitor. So our on-road performance of the technology really stands out. And then finally, Embark is pretty unique in having actual commercial experience out in the world today. And so you look at some of those names I mentioned, you look at the fact that we move freight. Today, we've actually moved freight with some of our partners all the way back to 2017. And so we have that experience commercially deploying this product. And I think that ends up being pretty critical.
Sounds good. And I was looking over, again, the slide deck, and looks like there's a two-phase rollout of the commercialization process. It's going to be the lower states, the Sun Belt. So when do you see more of just overall in the industry, in the trucking industry, when do you kind of foresee this really taking a foothold in the whole industry? Because everyone throws out the total addressable market, but when will companies like yourself be able to fully realize a lot of that? What are you seeing as a being in this industry?
Yeah, our rollout focuses firstly in 2024 on the U.S. Sunbelt, and that's about a third of the total U.S. freight miles, and then expanding to the rest of the lower 48 in 2026, and that ends up being obviously, as you mentioned, this is a huge total addressable market. Even just in the Sunbelt, it's a gigantic market, and so the ability to get to the lower 48 in 26 and the Sunbelt in 24, that's really, I would say, industry-leading timeline. And we think that that's probably going to set the pace. And then the scaling up is going to happen, in the one hand, really, really quickly if you're looking at it from a dollars perspective. On the other hand, it'll take a reasonable amount of time just because of how big the industry is, right? It's a $700 billion industry. And so if you're growing tens of billions of dollars a year in revenue, you're still growing kind of slow. With respect to the whole industry. And so I do think sort of the three things I like people to take away is that the first deployments are sooner than you think. The rollout is going to be faster than you think, but the time to full penetration is still longer than you think because it's just so big.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because, these fleets, they're not going to upgrade the entire, all of their trucks at once. They're going to do it a percentage this year, a percentage the following year, and as they, especially even with electrification, as all of the tech, is rolled out with that, they're not gonna put all their eggs in one basket, right? It doesn't seem like. So makes sense, and it makes sense too with I can see why you guys are doing the phase one in the lower 48, where it's better weather, and like you said, that's a lot of your I've traveled from Atlanta, Georgia to San Diego, California in an RV and did all those. And because we could do it during the winter, you know what I mean? So while the weather was good the entire trip, right? So that's a good strategy. I do think that's a good strategy. Well, Alex, man, I don't have a whole lot of other questions. I'm really glad you wanted to come on and address this. I'll give you the floor and let you talk about anything else that you think you wanted to talk about Embark, and give you kind of opportunity to plug it. And again, the ticker was NGAB. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, NGAB on the New York Stock Exchange. Yeah, thank you. I think maybe the thing that I want to leave folks with is understanding that the value in this industry ultimately comes from technology. And I think where Embark has really differentiated ourselves over the years is our consistent long-term focus on building the best technology for self-driving trucks, whether that takes the form of our vision map fusion system that allows the trucks to be able to operate for the first time ever through construction zones that have not been previously mapped, which I think is hugely powerful for our system. Or that's the caliber of the team we built that gives us a 60-second planning horizon, one of, if not the longest planning horizon of anybody in the space. It's really that high quality software that puts us in a position to bring this technology to market. And this is a hard business. I think there are a lot of people who try and sort of value self-driving companies by globbing together a lot of different things. Like, oh, there's some car bits, and then there's some truck bits, and there's some fleet bits. And the reality, in our view, is that you build a great software stack, and then you build great partnerships, and that's how you get a business. And so where Embark really stands out is we are, people have been telling us that you didn't need to be focused for a long time, and I think we're getting the last laugh. Embark's the longest running self-driving truck program in the United States. We're also the longest running independent self-driving effort in the United States, full stop. And so we've been doing this for a long time. And we're really excited to now be reaching a point where in the next handful of years, us and some of the biggest fleets in the country will be taking this technology on the road.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with my channel, but I'm all about finding disruptive technologies and getting into these sectors and segments. So I'm still early in my research process, and you've definitely educated me today on some of the advantages and benefits of Embark. So it's been great. I appreciate you, like I said, taking time to come on over to the channel and do this, and I'll be following along. And like I'm rooting for the whole industry, so definitely rooting for you guys over at Embark.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and you'll have to come out sometime and take a ride in the truck. I think the technology always is the best salesperson for itself. So we'll have to make that happen someday.
I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
You ever thought about, could you invest in that house, with that house, with that house, with that house, and not be an accredited investor or have to have millions of dollars? I would. I'm beginning to think about that. I'm going to talk about a company that gives you the opportunity to invest in properties like that with just $10 a piece. Quite a concept. It's one that this company is providing pocket properties. I spent some time digging into the company. The app is built on the blockchain, where the transactions will be on the blockchain. So that means it is going to be super safe and super secure. I got really excited about it because, as the portfolio grows, I'm looking for ways to diversify the portfolio. This company actually, there's no minimum to invest. Pick properties, invest $10 at a time. They pay regular dividends. They didn't have an affiliate program. And I said, guys, you need to get some content creators backing you up, promoting your product, because this thing is awesome. We talked about it, we set it up. And if you use my promo code JMac Invest, you get a free share once the app goes live.